Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to brawl. More specifically, it is time for us to talk about the top 10 most underrated brawlers in Brawl Stars. I've analyzed the win rates and the pick rates in the competitive scene to determine the top 10 brawlers that are way better than you think they are. Sorry, Mortis, I'm not talking about you. You're probably played way more than you should be.
How dare you!
But talking about things that are not played as much as they should be, this is your friendly reminder to use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop every week. Kairos, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. Use code Kairos and your next Brawl Box will have some rewards in it. Okay, all Brawl Boxes have rewards in them, but you'll feel cooler because of code Kairos. And with that, let's get started with the Brawl Stars top 10 underrated brawlers. Number 10 is Wham Bam, none other than Pam. Now, Pam is a jack of all trades. She can heal. She has super high DPS potential. She has really good range while also being able to deal with brawlers up close, and she thick. In other words, she's got a lot of HP. She's very tanky, guys. And yet she is so underplayed, especially when considering the wham bam that she can dish out literally across every mode in the game. With a very versatile skill set, she can do anything from being really aggressive in modes like Heist or Siege, where she can dish out a lot of damage, or she can even operate a little bit more supportively in modes like Gem Grab by focusing on healing others and carrying the gems. To top it off with her Mama Squeeze star power dishing out a whopping 500 damage per second, she's pretty self-sufficient in making up for her weaknesses in those tight corners, especially on maps where she can actually utilize that. But if you want lots of heals, Mama's Hug is the way to go. Now, the versatility that she offers is going to make her a very welcome addition to any team composition. She just wants a hug, and she's not getting enough love right now. But she does get a lot of love in comparison to the number 1 most underrated brawler, which we'll be talking about later on. Next is number 9, Gene. Gene's wish is coming true, for he is the second in today's spotlight. Now, recently, Brawl Stars had a few balance changes that affected the supercharge rate of the brawlers in the game. What players don't realize is that this has impacted Gene big time. Now, when Gene pulls a brawler and unloads his ammunition, he gets his super back right away. With over 1/3 of the maxed out brawlers as easy 3-shot targets, his super cycling is one of the most impressive in the game and arguably the best. Now, for Gene to really shine, there are 3 things that pros do that you will want to do as well. Number 1, use his Magic Puff star power if you're playing in 3v3 modes. The healing that it provides is insane, and it goes without saying that you will want to buddy up with a teammate to utilize this. The second thing is to hold onto your super. Don't just use it whenever you can. By holding onto it, that is a constant threat to the enemy team that forces them to play very cautiously, which will give you a lot more control over the map. The third thing that you really want to do is you want to make sure you're landing those Gene super pulls. Auto aim is actually really perfect for this, especially for that close to mid-range area, so that you basically guarantee that you're going to pull the enemy. If an enemy brawler is mid to close range, then using the auto aim is definitely the best way to go for this. And by applying these 3 tips to your gameplay, Gene is definitely going to be worth playing. Planting its way to our number 8 spot for the most underrated brawler is none other than the mythic Sprout. Now, Sprout is acknowledged at higher trophy levels, but underrepresented in lower trophies. Sprout is definitely a brawler that you will want to use more, especially if you're not over 700 trophies. With very high win rates across the board, it dominates in practically every mode, with the exception of Solo Showdown. Don't play Sprout in Solo Showdown. But Sprout is particularly good in Brawl Ball, where its ability to block enemies from getting close to your goal is completely unmatched. Seriously though, those walls last forever, or like 10 seconds. Obviously, as a thrower, Sprout is really going to thrive on maps that offer lots of wall cover, but it's actually on the open maps that Sprout is really underappreciated and can be played very well. That's because Sprout is the one brawler who doesn't really need pre-existing walls to operate, and that's not just because of its impressive range. As long as there's like a couple of walls in the right places, Sprout can reshape the field by making its own walls through its super. And on those open maps, you're unlikely to be facing enemy throwers on the map, which gives your team a very unique advantage over your opponent. Top this off with Sprout's S-tier photosynthesis star power and garden mulcher gadget, and you have one of the best brawlers in the game. Coming in number 7 for most underrated brawlers in Brawl Stars is Nani. Nani? As everyone's little friend, you will want to show Nani some love in the form of more than just playtime, because in the right hands, she can completely dominate. Yes, she is difficult to play, and I think that that's exactly why we see her not being played very much in Brawl Stars, but by practicing a little bit with her and by conserving ammo and aiming your shots carefully, you you will really see that she can pack a punch, and that's true whether she's up close or at a distance. And when she's not packing that punch, she's unpacking Peep, who is really what makes Nani so OP. The fact that you can control Peep means that this indestructible little bomb often leads to unavoidable and massive amounts of damage to the enemy team, and can even function as a way to break walls. And if that's not enough, Nani has the quickest travel speed in the game thanks to her teleportation that she gets from her gadget paired up with her super. Used correctly, Nani can transform a narrow dodge by the enemy to a surprise attack where Nani can just unload a bunch of auto attacks on an enemy and easily take them out. And where you really want to play Nani is alongside Bo in Bounty with his super totem gadget. This combo is straight up toxic, as Nani will be able to super from safety, clear over back in her spawn to deal damage anywhere else on the map. Seriously though, this toxic combo is so good. You're gonna want to try it out. But still, Nani doesn't even compare to the underrated, constant, chaotic damage generated by our number 2 pick later in the video. But for now, number 6 is Ems. This girl is #underhyped, but she definitely should not be because she is good. Unlike other tank counters in the game like Bee, Spike, or even Colt, Ems benefits from an attack that is crazy easy to hit, but she does require that the enemy needs to be the right distance away from her to fully utilize her attack. The bonus of this design is that her shot spread and the duration of her attack make it a lot easier for her to control large areas, and also she can use this to force enemies to move wherever you want them to. This makes Ems perfect for combat, not just against tanks, but pretty much any other mid-range brawler, since using more than one attack allows her to basically take out, well, most of the brawlers in the game. And if that is not enough, she's equipped with the perfect abilities to optimize the damage that she can dish out. Her super can keep enemies slowed and vulnerable within the perfect mid-range that she really thrives in, and her friend zoner gadget repels opponents into that mid-range if they happen to get too close. Top it off with her Bad Karma star power, which just increases her damage, and she is a beast that has all of her bases covered. Now, to really do well with Ems, I highly recommend playing her in Brawl Ball or Hot Zone, and when you're in a pinch, be sure to unload your first shot before you use her gadget, as that will actually oftentimes bump the enemy into an additional tick of damage, which for Ems is really impactful. All the cool kids are playing Ems, these guys, and if you want to be cool, then we'll use Kairos and use Ems. Yeah. Coming in number 5 is Colette. If you're not already a fan of Colette, you definitely should be. When she was first put into the game, well, she was pretty weak, but buff after buff, and she's now, well, she's buff. She is in a really good spot. Not only does she obliterate tanks, but her attack speed, range, and reload make her annoyingly taxing for the enemy team. If we see 1,400 damage as her like max damage against special targets, and we consider that as like a baseline DPS goal, you're getting that or more against any brawler that has over 3,800 health. 3 quick shots on any brawler is going to leave them at 25% health. But if you use 2 attacks, activate her gadget, and then use her 3rd attack, they're going to be practically bankrupt and barely holding onto their life with just around 3% of their max health. In that case, they're likely to get taken out by one of your teammates, but even if the enemy doesn't die, they're gonna have to fall back and heal up, which is a very big benefit to your team. But what really makes Colette so special is a combo that pros know and that you absolutely should too. She just needs to use 2 normal attacks followed by her super, and that is going to be enough to kill every single brawler in the game. Whether they're a measly tick or a spongy Frank, it is tax time and you owe Colette your soul. Now, in order for you to really make this work, her super needs to land on the target at least twice, and that's gonna actually be super easy to do if you have her push at star power equipped. And what's broken about this combo is that it cycles, meaning that you can use it over and over and over again without needing to worry about recharging your super. As the biggest fan of Brawl Stars, it's emotionally taxing for Colette knowing that she isn't given the same love that she dishes out, and she would be indebted to you if you were to use her more. Next, we have number 4, Sandy, and you definitely do not want to be sleeping on this brawler. Because honestly, with one of the lower pick rates in the game, Sandy's feeling pretty invisible. Maybe that's okay though, because invisibility is OP in Brawl Stars, and when given to the entire team for 9 seconds, it's not just OP, it's legendary. By pairing Sandy with a melee teammate that can use that super as cover, Sandy's basically going to shred through every single mode in the game. With one of the best star powers in the game, you would be rude not to use his Rude Sand star powers, which makes this beast of a brawler even more beastly. Now, when using Rude Sands, be sure to position the super very aggressively, as the damage along with the threat from ally ambushes practically pushes the enemy team far enough away, and you'll be able to control the center of the map, which will give your team a huge advantage. And then before the sandstorm subsides, make sure that you take cover in the grass. This is something that pros do, and it basically makes it so the enemy team is still going to be wondering where you're hiding, and that effectively increases the duration of your team's invisibility. If you do this right, with Sandy in play, it is going to be nap time for the enemy team, but the catch is they're not going to be waking up. Now, naturally, Sandy has the third highest win rate in lower trophy games, but get this, he suffers from the second lowest pick rate. Now that is bad, but still, our neglect for Sandy doesn't even compare to our #1 pick on today's video, who has the worst pick rate in competitive play, but the second highest win rate. But first, we gotta talk about this super rare who you will rarely see, Karl. After digging into the stats, it's very clear to me that Karl is definitely worth playing. This is especially true if you're using his superior power throw star power, which increases his shot speed by 13%. Not only is this going to help you hit your shots more consistently, it's going to deal more damage, you're going to recharge your super a lot more often as well. Which, by the way, Karl has one of the most versatile supers in the game. Now, Karl's current gadget, Heat Ejector, isn't the best gadget out there, but when used alongside the super, you're going to be able to dish out an insane amount of value that can absolutely be used to take out tanks very easily. There's a reason Karl is a miner. It's because he spends all his time digging the enemy grave. And when Karl's new gadget is released into the game, he's going to have even more versatility. You guys choose Karl and you will literally be spinning and winning. Up next is Mr. P, the second most underrated brawler in Brawl Stars. Honestly, I think Mr. P is probably a little peeved by his lack of business in the game. Given the stats, sales should be way up and every player should be wanting to play Mr. P. Unfortunately, he's one of the most underplayed brawlers in the game, and that knowledge is baggage that he just can't carry. But believe me, Mr. P is great because he can unleash mass amounts of chaos through luggage bags, robot penguin porters, and turrets galore. This makes it impossible for enemies to keep up and successfully dodge all the damage that he can dish out. But what's more is that his shot mechanic is the only one in the game that allows him to be both a shooter and a thrower. As if that's not enough though, he comes with two very relevant and very strong star powers that allow you to personally customize whether you want to boost his main attack or his super. His handle with Care Star power does a great job at increasing his attack range, but on the flip side, his new and improved revolving door star power helps you generate a never-ending penguin army that absolutely eats through enemy ammunition. If you really want to force your enemy out of business, one tip is to use his service bell gadget right before a porter is about to die. This will cause it to regain all of its health, plus gain an extra 1,000 health, demanding even more ammunition from the enemy. If you don't want to make him angry, guys, I recommend using Mr. P. Now, before we reveal the #1 most underrated brawler in Brawl Stars, I wanted to give a quick nod to those brawlers who I heavily considered for this top 10 list, but unfortunately just didn't quite make the cut. First up is Tara. With one of the most powerful supers, star powers, and gadgets in her arsenal, this mythic mystic can definitely use more play, but honestly only at lower trophy levels. At higher trophy levels, the opposite is actually true, where she should probably be played a little bit less. Our second runner-up is Surge. This cool hero has definitely seen better days, like when he was OP about a month ago. But the nerfs have definitely slowed him down. He's seeing a lot less play, and while his win rate suggests that he could be used more, it's not enough to justify using him for this list. But without further ado, the #1 most underrated brawler in Brawl Stars is 8-Bit. Now get this, guys, at high trophies, 8-Bit has the worst pick rate in the game. He's only picked once every 500 matches, but other than Amber, because let's face it, no one can beat Amber right now, 8-Bit has the highest win rate in the game, above 700 trophies, guys. Let that sink in. No one plays this guy because he's slow, and some might argue that he's a little bit boring, but he is amazing. Now, I did want to give a quick disclaimer that the lower play rates means that there's less stats to base this information off, so his win rate is a little bit less accurate than some of the other brawlers' win rates, but even at lower trophies, 8-Bit has the 7th highest win rate despite being the 6th least played in the game. I get it, guys, 8-Bit's slow, but as you might know, Brawl Stars recently upgraded his hardware by replacing his extra life star power with plugged in, which increases his speed when he's within 7 tiles of his turret. And now that he's plugged in, this game within a game is no longer out of service. This star power allows him to go from being the slowest brawler in the game to one of the fastest, matching the speed of a true tank. Given his range, his super high DPS, and his other mechanics, this is devastatingly strong, as it makes him one of the only true range brawlers with a fast movement speed. His tankiness, his speed, his range, support abilities, his ability to buff DPS for him and all of his teammates make him king of all trades, as long as his turret is up and safe. But even if you don't have his newest star power, his boosted booster star power is nothing to scoff at, as the 50% increase to his turret range is a huge boost to his natural supportive ability. And that ability is insane because when he is buffed by his turret, he's able to deal 3,500 damage with just 1 ammo. And even if you catch yourself outside of the range of his turret, his cheat cartridge gadget allows him to teleport back to it, giving 8-Bit the ultimate flexibility. Yes, 8-Bit is slow, and that can make him not as fun to play as other brawlers, but I think that what is most fun is winning. And when it comes to winning, 8-Bit's Arcade is back in business. And there you have it, guys, the top 10 most underrated brawlers in Brawl Stars. I want to know what you thought about this top 10 list. Have I tempted you into playing a brawler that you typically wouldn't? Are there other brawlers that you absolutely swear by that you think people should be playing more? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts, so be sure to leave a comment in the section below. Subscribe for more videos, high quality ones like this one, even more top 10 lists. And don't forget to use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.